Welcome to Xbox On, where we've got 10 deals that are sure to turn this week into a flawless victory. Today's deal video is presented by World of Tanks Modern Armor Update, bringing you the next evolution in adrenaline-fueled tank warfare. This massive update gives you access to an impressive array of modern weaponry, including the legendary American M1A2 Abrams and Soviet T-72BU armored vehicles. Stay tuned at the end of this video for a look at 50 tons of pure tank power. But for now, let's save you some money.
When Sub-Zero froze a guy's blood and then stabbed him with it in the trailer for the latest Mortal Kombat movie, that pretty much told you everything the series is about. Gleefully gratuitous violence in general, and insane finishing moves in particular. Whether on a big screen or a small one, Mortal Kombat remains so indelibly popular, partially because of this simple appeal. Two characters enter the stage with the promise that one of them will need to be mopped up when the fight is over. The latest entry in the series boasts a full roster of all your favourite fighters, from Sub-Zero's grabby rival Scorpion to the irrepressibly smarmy Johnny Cage. Whoever they choose, Xbox Series X and S players can enjoy the whole gory spectacle in glorious dynamic 4K thanks to the game's free next-gen upgrade. And with 60% having been sliced right off the price, you won't get more violence for your money anywhere else. Not legally anyway.
But in the interest of a fair fight, it's important to point out that one of MK's longest standing rivals is also getting a massive price drop, with Tekken 7 coming down with 80% off its usual cost. Rather than seeing how many entrails it can cram into each iteration, Tekken really concerns itself with the fundamentals, using its intuitive one-button, one-limb control scheme as the basis for an artfully balanced arcade fighter that's as deep as it is accessible. Tekken 7 adds in a host of new tweaks and touches, like a rage mode that allows you to Hulk out in spectacular fashion, but it's careful not to try and fix a formula that ain't broke, remaining true to the series' unique brand of zany martial arts action. And the Tekken team continue to support their latest title, with Polish politician Lydia Sobieska joining the roster most recently. We'd definitely vote for her, if only because we'd be absolutely terrified what would happen if we didn't.
And the final participant in our three-way fighting game free-for-all is the superpowered Injustice 2, which also smashed a mighty 60% off its price this week. Rather than the mix of martial artists and weird monsters that make up the ranks of fighting games, Injustice 2's roster is populated by the mightiest heroes and most sinister villains from across the DC universe. Several of whom are martial artists and weird monsters actually, but still. See Batman face off against the Joker once again, or set up a more out there match between the likes of Black Canary, Swamp Thing, Gorilla Grodd and Brainiac. And with the game's gear system, there's tons of room to upgrade your characters and add even more variety to the fray. Just remember, if you get into a fight that you can't handle, the safe word is Martha.
But those incorrigible DC supervillains aren't content just to wail on one another, they're also running riot all across the LEGO world. Now 70% off, LEGO DC Supervillains features a full rogues gallery of comic book bad guys with an incredible voice cast providing their signature wisecracks, including Mark Hamill as the Clown Prince himself. Like all LEGO games, it's a love letter to the source material that crams an incredible amount of references, Easter eggs and gags into its wacky cartoon world. And better yet, LEGO DC Supervillains actually lets you build your own big bad guy to play as, piecing together their appearance, choosing their fighting style, and unlocking various special abilities to help them get one over on those pesky caped crusaders. Speaking of whom, the original LEGO Batman is also included in this month's Games with Gold. So it's just a great time to be a DC fan with a passion for Danish construction materials.
And speaking of all things vaguely Nordic, Assassin's Creed Valhalla is now yours to plunder for 35% less than its usual price. This acclaimed chapter of the quasi-historical series has you chopping down foes all across England as you lead the Viking conquest. And while that means there are plenty of less than subtle combat options involving large axes and insufficiently axe-proof faces, Valhalla stays true to the series' stealthy roots with a wide range of quieter techniques to master as well. And the game only opens up the more you progress, with new gear to acquire, areas to explore, and alliances to forge. With the release of the Wrath of the Druids DLC on May 13th, that world gets even wider as you float across to Ireland to see what the crack is. Which, it turns out, is mostly weird cults and power-hungry rulers, but still, it's always nice to travel.
And if you're still in the mood to get medieval on someone, Middle-earth Shadow of War is now 60% off. Following up on the acclaimed Shadow of Mordor, it features the same blend of strategy and swordplay as you square off once again against Sauron and his many underlings, each of whom will quickly come to feel like a full character rather than just another in a long list of elaborate names. The Silmarillion this is not. As you develop rivals, experience betrayals, and uncover plots, the game becomes much more interesting and much more satisfying. Because chopping down an orc is always fun, but chopping down that one particular orc who's cheated death 3 different times and got his blood brother on you, well, that's the sort of satisfying that could make even Gollum give up the One Ring.
It's time to break out the flat caps now with Peaky Blinders Mastermind offering a tidy discount of 67%. It just fell off the back of a truck, we swear. Taking place before the events of Season 1, Mastermind has you leading the Shelby family on their takeover of Small Heath. Playing as 6 different members of the criminal clan, you'll have to take advantage of each one's special skills, whether that means scampering sneakily through small spaces as Finn or battering down doors and brawling with enemies as Arthur. Just like in the show, getting them all to act in perfect unison is the real challenge. So really, it's a game about a family learning to trust each other and work together. It's heartwarming, just so long as you don't look too closely at any of the people who happen to get in their way.
If Peaky Blinders Mastermind blurs the boundary between TV and video games, Quantum Break obliterates it altogether. It also centers around a somewhat dysfunctional family, with the player taking control of Jack Joyce, whose genius brother may have accidentally imperiled the fabric of time itself while uncovering the true workings of quantum theory. Brothers, eh? Anyway, that leaves Jack to dive into a mind-bending conspiracy involving a shady corporation, an old family friend, and a bunch of awesome time control powers. But when you're done playing with space-time and shooting bad guys, each chapter of Quantum Break is followed up with a half-hour live-action episode which drives the story forward. Between the time travel and the medium bending, it's a pretty out there game, but one that's well worth checking out, especially at 75% off.
Sunset Overdrive is also down to a quarter of its original price, and it's ideal for anyone looking for an especially zany brand of open world action. Lots of games have depicted the apocalypse, but probably none have envisioned it quite like this. An eye-burstingly colourful punk party where there's nothing left to do but bounce from block to block, blowing up bad guys with an ever-expanding arsenal of insane weapons. Thanks to the game's intuitive and acrobatic movement style, vaulting through the city like a kid that's had too much sugar is ridiculously fun, while the game's sprawling upgrade system ensures you've always got a new deadly toy to play with.
And finally, the beloved JRPG Tales of Vesperia is also now 75% off. This anime-infused epic takes place in a huge fantastical realm, which is being threatened by a dark force and a powerful empire. Playing as a knight named Yuri and the collection of colourful friends he makes along the way, you'll embark on a dramatic quest to save the world, while also learning something about yourself along the way. Because no matter how much dark magic is flying around, there is always time to talk about your feelings. Using a real-time battle system, Vesperia blends the careful planning and character customization of a traditional JRPG and gives it a slightly more action-orientated edge. And if you find that balance works for you, you're in luck. Bandai Namco will be cooking it up once again very soon for the upcoming Scarlet Nexus.
And if those deals weren't enough gaming awesomeness for you, remember that you can check out World of Tanks Modern Armor update right now. It's an explosive update for one of the most fun free-to-play games on Xbox. Want to know some more? Check this out then.
Load it up, let it rip!
that's a wrap on this week's deals, so we hope you found what you're looking for. Let us know in the comments what games you'll be diving into next, and don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell to stay on top of all the latest bargains. Bye!